To the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world. My name is Jason Edgecombe. A couple of years ago, a friend I've known since I was 3, let's call him Tim, was clearing a table at the restaurant he worked at when his heart stopped. Not figuratively, actually stopped beating. And he collapsed, and a waiter standing next to him, let's call him Dave, happened to catch him and lower him to the ground. And they called an ambulance, which arrived in about 10 minutes. And they rushed him to the hospital, and they managed to sort of get him partially stabilized. They put him into an induced coma to give him enough time and to give them enough control so that they could stabilize him and get him fine. Then they had a cardiac specialist look at him and surgically install a defibrillating pacemaker to stop that from ever happening again. I have a question for you. In that whole scenario, who is the most important person? Is it the ER doctors or one of the nurses? Is it the paramedics? Is it the cardiac specialist who makes more in a day than I probably do in a year? Who is it? The truth is, it's none of those people. Not really. Sure, the cardiac specialist is really important and highly skilled at what he does. Yes, the ER doctors and nurses are highly trained and very experienced in dealing with trauma and emergency situations. Paramedics are exceptionally well trained and very, very good, and certainly essential to any emergency care situation. But the most important person isn't any of them. It's Dave, the waiter, the servant that most people aren't even going to bother learning his name. Because for 10 minutes, while that ambulance was driving through traffic and turning its lights on to get through stop signs, Dave performed CPR on my friend Tim. I looked this up, but it takes about 3 minutes without oxygen for your brain to start suffering severe damage. After about 10 minutes, the brain will suffer so much harm that it will never recover. All of Tim's thoughts, his memories, his beliefs, his experiences would have been gone if the ambulance people were the first ones to touch him. I doubt Dave was thinking very much about how important he was right then. I doubt he was thinking that he'd be very important when, a month beforehand, he finished his CPR training. A month beforehand. I bet the only thing going through his mind at the time was, staying alive, staying alive. It keeps the rhythm. Always found that hilarious. Probably the only thing that mattered to him at the moment, and doing the breathing and pushing down on my friend's chest. But for those 10 minutes, Dave was the most important person in the world to dozens of people. To Tim, whose life he saved. To Tim's mom, who got a call several hours later saying, "You need to get to the hospital. You might never see your son awake again." To Tim's colleagues at work who watched him fall and would have been very worried about whether or not he would make it through. His friends. Tim has many friends. He's awesome. I doubt any of them could imagine a day where Tim wasn't there. And me, on the other side of the world, I didn't even know that this was happening, but Dave was the most important person in my life. Several days later, when I got the Facebook message, I realized this, but it was still true. We never realize what effect our actions may have on others. The power that we hold, not just in a situation as dramatic as catching somebody whose heart just stopped and performing CPR on them until the ambulance gets there. Something as simple as helping somebody pick up their groceries or a stack of books that they dropped in the schoolyard, or smiling at a cashier, or having a conversation with the woman who's making your coffee. These simple things can have huge repercussions. They can mean so much to someone, and we may never even realize it, or meet the people whose lives that we change for the better. Final thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to lay a challenge for you. I'd like you to write in the comment section below a moment when someone was your entire world. Thank you very much. Stay awesome, guys, and I'll see you next week.